Welcome to Supernatural Yoga. My name is Tracey Long. I'm an integrative and functional nutritionist. I specialize in neurodegenerative disease, mental health conditions, autoimmune conditions, and people who are struggling with a lot of gastrointestinal problems. A couple of weeks ago, when I was practicing yoga with some of my family and friends via live web stream, we were messing around because we're all supernatural fans, and so we were making it a supernatural yoga. We decided we were laughing and having so much fun that I would go ahead and just record this and share it with more people. I teach a vinyasa style yoga, and tonight our session is going to be a beginning to moderate level intensity. And I really rely on you to listen to your body and modify the yoga as needed. An example is I kind of have a bum shoulder tonight, so I'm going to baby my shoulder just a little bit. And if you have anything going on, you're welcome to omit some of the postures or skip through them, listening to your body, making things work. And I like to try to show some modifications for you too. If you're not sure if taking a yoga session is appropriate for you, then I recommend that you talk to your healthcare provider and get clearance before you participate to make sure that you're okay to move forward with yoga. And then I would like to let you know that tonight I'm dedicating this yoga practice to an effort by Jared Padalecki, someone I really admire for taking a stance and bringing a lot of attention to mental health issues. And so you'll see that I'm wearing a t-shirt with one of his famous statements that says, "Always keep fighting, salt and burn your demons." So let's get started and let's salt and burn our demons. I invite you to go ahead and take a seat on your mat. And I have a couple of yoga supplies out that are handy for me. Here I have a couple of yoga blocks. Tonight we're referring to them as John Winchester's journal. And then I even have a picture of a sigil that I'm going to go ahead and tape it up onto the wall next to my yoga mat just for fun, but it might be something that you decide you want to print out and add to your yoga practice. So as we get settled into our mat, I want you to go ahead and find your sit bones, wiggle down into them, and then place your hands comfortably on top of your knees with your palms facing up. Begin to acknowledge your breath, noticing your inhalation and exhalation. Then let's all together bring our palms together at heart center into our Castiel 1 position. In this position, begin to just focus on your breath, noticing that inhalation and your exhalation. On the next breath in, let your palms gently part, fingertips move away from each other. And as you exhale, your hands move toward each other but don't quite touch. Inhale, opening up, expanding your lungs. Exhale, fingertips and palms come toward each other. Take 2 more breaths like that. Inhaling to fill your belly. Exhaling fully. And last one, inhaling. And as you exhale, palms will come together and touch right at heart center in that Castiel 1 position. Now I invite you to go ahead and rotate around to the side, moving into an all fours position where your knees are right underneath your hips and your wrist creases are right underneath your shoulders. This is going to become tonight our classic Impala position. From Impala, take some random movement, side to side and front to back, checking in on your body, noticing where you're tight and where you're feeling loose and juicy. Coming back into that standard position, I'd like you now to walk your hands forward about 6 inches. Find the L's of the hands actively pressing the pad of the thumb and the pad of the pointer finger into your mat. Slide shoulders down your back away from your ears as you flip your toes. Let your hips rise skyward. Moving into our downward facing hellhound position. Drop your head between your arms and press your chest through towards your thighs. Notice the big bend I have in my knees right now. Turn the insides of your arms towards your ears and the insides of your thighs toward each other. Begin to pedal out your feet, pressing one heel down and then the other heel. Come to settle into your downward facing hellhound position. On the next breath in, look up between your hands and walk your feet to meet your hands. Feet are about shoulder width apart. As you bend your knees a lot, letting your chest come to rest on your thighs, reach your arm around behind your knees and grab opposite wrists. Drop your head, gazing between your knees. Release your hands around to the front. They're touching the mat, and begin to straighten your legs, just to the point that you start to feel some mild pull and burn in the back of your thighs. Grab opposite elbows, releasing your head forward. Turn your head side to side and nod your chin up and down, releasing your neck. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, sigh deeply. Begin to gently sway side to side. And release your fingers to the floor. On the next breath in, begin to curl up your spine, rolling through your shoulders. Shoulders slide down your back, palms are facing forward. On the next breath in, sweep your arms up, palms come to touch, and palms come through heart center into Castiel 2. I invite you right here to close your eyes and set an intention for your practice today. An intention can be like sending positive energy and thoughts towards someone who needs it. Maybe it's even saying a prayer for someone. Again, I'd like you to come back and focus on the theme for our yoga practice today. Always keep fighting, salt and burn your demons. Thinking especially about people who are struggling with mental health problems like depression and anxiety. One, acknowledging that they're real problems and that they're people who really need help. And that we can all also keep fighting. Release your palms back down to your side. Palms are facing forward. Inhale, sweeping arms up overhead. And exhale, relaxing your shoulders. Inhale as you reach light and energy through your fingertips. And exhale as you root down through all four corners of your feet, finding that length in your body. Take 2 to 3 more breath cycles in this position. This yoga asana is known as Sam's abs. If you remember back to the episode where Sam is in a hotel room with his shirt off doing pull-ups, showing off a really nice set of six-pack abs. Hopefully that brings back good memories for you too. We're going to inhale, reaching, finding that length. And this time as we exhale, we're going to come into a side bend position toward the side, gazing up at that top elbow with arms in a rounded position in a yoga asana called Bad Moon on the Rise. Inhale as you come back up through Sam's abs, and exhale, coming into Bad Moon on the Rise, other side. Wiggling your weight around both of your feet, equal weight on both feet, really acknowledging that length that you're getting in the side body, looking up at that top elbow. Next breath in, come up through Sam's abs, and exhale as you bring arms down to crux. Soften the knees just a little bit and rotate around toward the front. Notice with that bend in the knee that you're able to keep your knees and hips pointing toward the end of your mat while you're rotating your shoulders above the belly button to the side. Next breath in, we'll sweep arms back up into that Sam's abs position. Exhale, arms back down to crux and rotate to the other side. Again, focusing on knees and hips pointing forward. Next breath in comes up through Sam's abs, and exhale, hands through heart center in that Castiel 2 as we begin to release and drop our body forward. In this forward fold, we're coming into a position known as Crowley 1. We call this Crowley 1 because even though he was the king of hell, he wasn't very good at it, and so we put him in this bowed and humble position. Letting your body fold forward heavy. Next breath in, lift off, planting your palms on your shins, and creating a tabletop-like appearance to your back, sliding shoulders away from your ears, reaching the crown of your head forward and your tailbone back. Pressing into your shins to create a little bit of traction, helping lengthen your spine into our Crowley 2 position. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands, and walk your knees back into our Impala position. From Impala, as you take the next breath in, let your belly button drop toward the mat as you turn your gaze up skyward into our cow position. Exhale as you push the floor away, rounding up through your back, drawing the belly button to your spine in black cat. Inhale, back through cow. Exhale, black cat. Riding on your breath. 2 more breath cycles. Inhale to lift up. Exhale, press away. Stretching and releasing tension across your back, finishing up this last cycle. And coming back into our Impala position. From here, walk your hands forward, flip the toes, let your hips rise up, coming into our downward facing hellhound. Next breath in, look up between your hands and walk your feet to meet your hands, curling up your spine, sweeping your arms wide, palms come to touch, through heart center at Castiel 2. Release your hands down to the side. Inhale, sweeping your arms up, coming up into Sam's abs, and exhale, coming into bad moon on the rise to one side. Inhale, back up through Sam's abs, and exhale, bad moon on the rise, other side. Inhale, back up through Sam's abs, exhale, hands through heart center, dropping forward into Crowley 1. Take a breath in as you lift off, planting your hands on your shins into that tabletop-like appearance, Crowley 2. And as you exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands, and this time, shoot your feet back, bringing your body into a plank-like position called first blade. Wrist creases are right under shoulders. In this position, you have the option of shortening that blade up just a little if you'd like, and dropping down onto your knees if that's more comfortable for your body. Next thing, on the next inhalation, reach the shoulders forward, pin your elbows in towards your ribs, and exhale as you slowly lower towards your mat, bringing the body all the way down. Your fingertips are right underneath shoulders. Let your forehead drop to the mat. Flip the tops of your toes over onto the mat. Then lift one leg and reach it away from the body. Set it down. Lift the opposite leg away from the body and set it down. Now preparing for 3 rolling cobras, just beginning to wake up low back muscles. With your fingers lightly under your shoulders, on the next breath in, actively press the tops of the feet and your pubic bone into the mat, noticing your knees lift off. And you gently lift your gaze up, light on the fingers. Exhale to lower down, fully releasing the weight of your body to the mat. Inhale to lift off into that second baby cobra. Exhale, releasing to the mat. And the third one. Inhale, lifting off. Exhale to lower. Next breath in. Flip the toes, press up through hands, knees, and feet. Hips rise up, making your way into that downward facing hellhound. From this position, go ahead and let your knees drop to the mat. We're going to walk up onto our knees and turn facing the front. I'm going to take just a moment to tie my hair back to get it out of the way as we all together come to standing on our knees, facing sideways on our mat, and then picking up one of those John Winchester journals, so you can have this if you need it for a prop. Coming up to standing on our knees, some people have really sensitive knees, or you might be on a hard floor. So one thing you can do is fold your mat over and just slip your knees up onto that for doubling up cushioning, or even putting a towel or a little blanket underneath your knees as an option. So let's all come up together, standing on our knees. Inhale, sweeping arms up, skyward, and then taking one leg, reaching it out to the side. It's your choice if you want your toes pointing forward or pointing out to the side as we take a deep breath in and exhale. Coming into a side bend to the side, gazing up at that top elbow, into our Heaven's Gate position. Noticing the inhalation and the exhalation. Next breath in, arms come up overhead. It's optional if you want to pick up that prop, take it out to the side, and we're shooting that top arm now over our ear, making a lot of length through the body, coming into our angel's sword position. Always protecting your neck in any of these side positions, either looking forward or taking your gaze up toward that top arm. With a strong core, we'll rotate up out of that and come back to standing on our knees, top of the mat. Inhale, sweeping arms up overhead, and walk the opposite leg out to the side, choosing the same position with your toes on this side. Taking that deep breath in and exhale, dropping into Heaven's Gate, other side. Coming back to your breath, noticing that same breath in and same breath out. With a strong core, we're lifting off. Taking that prop if you need it, reaching it out to the side, and coming into that angel's sword, other side. Remember that the block that I'm showing you is optional. If you'd like, you can take it to a lower position or even take your fingertips down onto the floor if that's comfortable for you. With a strong core, coming back up, knees come together, back up at the top of the mat. Now from here, let's drop down back into that Impala position. From here, walk your knees wide and big toes come to touch as you let the weight of your hips drop back onto your heels, releasing your forehead onto your mat into our Castiel 3 position. It's also known as child's pose in traditional yoga, but it's a very prayerful, very submissive position. If you're more comfortable here, it's fine if you'd like to take one of those John Winchester journals and set it underneath your forehead to lift off a little bit, or even setting a pillow underneath your hips if that's more comfortable. Notice in this position how we need to take our breath deep into the side body and the back body, relaxing the intercostal muscles in between the ribs, asking them to let go, taking in that deep breath and exhaling. Breathing in and exhaling. I like to remind you too that this Castiel 3 position is a place of rest, and any time during our yoga practice tonight, you're welcome to come back to this Castiel 3 position, no matter what the rest of us are doing. We can shift forward, making our way back into that Impala position. And then from here, let's walk fingertips forward, and then take the toes on the opposite leg diagonal and reach them back. Slide shoulders away from your ears, take a breath in, and exhale, saying the word HA. Noticing how your stomach muscles contract just a little bit, stabilizing your core. As then you lift off, wrist to shoulder height and ankle to hip height. Reaching energy and light through those front fingers, taking the back foot, toes pointing to the ground, and pressing the heel actively toward the wall behind you. Holding the position for another breath cycle in and out, and returning back to our standard Impala position. Now opposite fingers reach forward, opposite toes. Breathe in as you slide shoulders down your back. And as you exhale, say the word HA, tightening up core muscles, lifting off. And again, reaching energetically through those front fingers, pressing the sole of that back foot away from you, finding length in the body, strong core. Noticing your inhalation, and exhale as you come back into Impala position. Next step, 1 foot forward, and then the second foot forward. Drop your seat, come up onto fingertips, rolling the shoulders back, and on the next breath in, shoot your fingers forward, sliding shoulders down your back, making your way into Thunderbolt position. Now from here, we're going to make this a little more challenging by actively finding the pad of the foot called the big toe mound. Right behind the big toe, begin splitting your mat apart, noticing how active muscles are deeply firing inside and outside of your thighs as you drop your tailbone and turn your gaze slightly upward. Now we're going to inhale, pulsing up, and exhale to lower. If this is a pretty tough position for you, you can go ahead and come up out of it higher and stay higher, or you can return low with me. 2 more breath cycles, pulsing up and down. And again, pulsing up and down. And we're going to inhale, sweeping our arms wide, palms come to touch through Castiel 2. Releasing palms down to the side. Inhale, reaching arms up, and exhale, relaxing shoulders down your back. Take another breath in, and exhale, arms to crux, and rotate to one side. Inhale, sweeping arms back up to Sam's abs. Exhale, crux position, rotating to the other side. Inhale, back up, Sam's abs, and release hands through heart center. Now walk your feet wide as we prepare to move on to our sun salutation B sequence. So starting here, let's rotate our toes out to the side, bending the knees just a little bit. Let's inhale, sweeping our arms up, making our way into our devil's trap asana. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, come into an arm wrap, remembering which arm you're wrapping underneath. So when we come to do the other side, you can get equal work on both sides. We're going to inhale, lifting the elbows, exhale, sliding shoulders down your back. If your shoulders don't like this position, a great modification is to just hug opposite shoulders. Inhaling elbows up, exhaling shoulders down. As I'd like you to start bending one knee and then the other. Begin just gently swaying side to side. Spraying holy water from side to side. Remember, we're using some of our weapons to fight off our demons. One of those is holy water. Side to side. Coming back up to center. Taking a breath in and exhale as you release and kind of wring out those arms. Inhaling, making your way back up to that demon's trap position. Take a breath in now, and as you exhale, we're going to take this outside foot and rotate it in. The front foot is going to rotate toward the side. Let's go ahead and bend that front knee, stacking the front knee right over the ankle. And we're going to roll into the demon's knife edge blade of that back foot so we're solid into the mat and strong through our legs. Tuck the tailbone just a little. Inhale as arms come up, parallel to the floor. Looking out over that front hand in our Colt revolver position. Noticing your breath in and your breath out. On the next breath in, flip the front palm up. Stay low in your lunge as you exhale, coming back into Ruby's knife, gazing at that top arm. This back arm can reach down the lower leg, or you can take it into an arm bind, just tucking it in and supporting the small of the back. On the next breath in, let's come back up through that Colt revolver. Now reaching the trunk forward, and as you exhale, opening the arms up, making your way into bow hunter asana. It's optional if you'd like to take that low arm and set it into a prop position if that structural support helps you, or you can let both arms fly. With a strong core, we're going to sweep back up into that Colt position. Take a breath in and exhale as we spin the back foot in just a little. Rotate around toward the side of our mat. Take a breath in and exhale as you step both feet together. At the top of the mat, inhale, sweeping arms up into Sam's abs. Exhale, palms together through heart center, dropping forward into Crowley 1. Inhale, lifting off into Crowley 2. And as you exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands, and shoot your feet back. This time, coming in to that plank-like position. And then from here, I want to remind you, if it's more comfortable for your body as we're flowing into our downward facing hellhound, it's fine if you go there from this Impala position, or if you'd like to join me right now, trying to take a vinyasa flow. We're starting here from either this high plank, remember we call this the first blade position. We can also take it down onto our knees and make it a shortened first blade position. Next breath in, shift your shoulders forward, tuck the elbows in, and begin to lower toward the floor. Just before you stop, flip the tops of the feet under and lift off, making your way into upward facing hellhound. On the next breath in, flip the toes and exhale, making your way into that downward facing hellhound position. In this position, take one of your legs and reach it high. Straightening the leg, pressing your chest through towards your thigh. Though that lifted foot, the toes are pointing to the mat and the heel presses away from the body. Three-legged hellhound. Drop that foot back to the mat and switch to the other side. Breath in, reaching that leg high, straightening the leg as much as you can comfortably, toes pointing to the mat, heel pressing away, and release your foot to the mat. Now drop down onto your knees. Stack your knees just exactly underneath your hips. And then begin to reach your arms forward, letting your forehead drop down onto the mat in puppy pose. Thinking about in all the episodes that we've seen, the puppy that Sam and Dean never got to have, but thinking about how much joy having a pet brings to our own lives. The giving and taking care of something else gives us a lot of purpose. From here, walk your hands back so they're underneath your shoulders so that you can lift off. Cross your feet at the ankles, drop back onto your seat, and then slide your seat forward so you're centered about the middle of your mat. From here, we're going to bend our knees, tuck your chin and create that C curve of your spine and lower one vertebrae at a time all the way down onto your mat, using a lot of core strength to make that a very purposeful and slow motion. From here, pull your knees into your chest, making your body into a small hex bag-like position. Grab behind your knees, tuck your chin, and begin rolling along your spine. Imagining that you're one of the rings of the four horsemen. Keep rolling. And on one of these rolls, come all the way up and see if you can balance on your sits bones. You might find that you need to hang on to the back of your knees, and you might find for balance that you need to set one heel down and then the other heel down, maybe alternating. Another option here is to bring your shins up about parallel to the floor, pull your toes towards your kneecaps, and let go, palms facing heavenward. We're going to relax our shoulders. Imagine an apple between your chin and chest, kind of lengthening, opening up your neck as you gaze up. Keeping that length in your spine, stay steady with your breath. Release, and then again, one vertebrae at a time. A lot of control, a lot of strength in your core. Lower one vertebrae at a time, all the way down. Hugging the knees into that hex bag position. Grabbing behind your knees. This is a tricky one, but I know you can do it. We're going to tuck our chin and begin rolling like one of the rings of the four horsemen. Creating some momentum so that about on that fourth or fifth roll, we can roll up, cross our feet at the ankles, reach forward, plant our hands, and you can either walk or hop your feet back into that first blade position from the full length or knees drop to the mat. Take a breath in and exhale, letting your hips rise up, making your way into downward facing hellhound. On the next breath in, lift the leg that is farthest away from your monitor or screen, and as you exhale, bring that leg through your hands. Come up onto your fingers, stack the knee above your ankle, and spin the back foot out, 90 degrees, drawing a line from that front heel to the arch of the back foot. As with a strong core, cartwheel your arms up, making your way back in to that Colt revolver position. On your next breath in, we're going to rotate both feet around. Swinging the arms high, coming into that devil's trap position. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, we're coming back into that arm wrap. This is where we need to see if you can remember which arm was on the bottom last time and try to alternate that arm. We're going to inhale, lifting our elbows, exhale, relaxing the shoulders. Begin to gently bend one knee at a time, swaying side to side. Spraying our holy water all around us, lowering the trunk, moving side to side, and then gradually bring your trunk up higher, settling back toward the center, breathing in and exhale to unwind and make your way back up into devil's trap position. Now preparing for that sun salutation B on the other side. We're going to take this foot now and rotate it in. This foot will rotate toward the back of the mat. We're going to bend the knee. Drop the tailbone just a little and make sure hip points and shoulders are pointing toward the front. Let's inhale, sweeping arms up so they're parallel to the floor, gazing out over those front fingertips in our Colt revolver position. Take another breath in and exhale, rolling into that demon's knife blade edge of that back foot. Inhale as you flip the front palm and exhale, making your way into Ruby's knife. It's fine if you'd like to take that arm bind here at the small of the back or reach that lower arm down the back leg. We're gazing at that top arm. Take a breath in and exhale as you reach forward. Now extending the trunk forward and tipping up, taking yourself into that bow hunter position with the prop or with both arms flying. Gazing at the top arm and shoulders just ease down away from our ears. With a strong core, sweep that back up, making your way into that Colt revolver position. We're going to take this back foot and rotate it in a little, rotate the body around. Sweep the arms up high and step both feet together at the top of the mat on this side. Let's inhale, sweeping arms up into Sam's abs. Exhale, palms through heart center, Castiel 2, and releasing forward into Crowley 1. Inhale, lifting off into Crowley 2, and exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands, and shoo those legs back. Coming into first blade position, or remember, if you like, it's fine for you to come into tabletop position. We can reach the shoulders forward, turn the elbows in, and lower in our shapeshifter position. Turning the toes under, lifting off into that full upward facing hellhound. Flipping the toes, hips rise up, downward facing hellhound position. In this position, take one leg and reach it high into three-legged hellhound. From here, drop your heel toward your seat and open up to the side, peering underneath the opposite arm pit, looking for the sole of your foot and half wild thing. Coming back up through three-legged hellhound and then full hellhound. Opposite leg, inhale the leg high. Exhale, heel toward your seat, opening up to the side, looking for the sole of the foot. Coming back through three-legged hellhound and full hellhound position. Drop your knees to the mat. With your hips stacked right over your knees, reach the arms forward. Forehead comes down to the mat in our puppy pose. Find your breath. Walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Lift off, coming up into our Impala position. Cross your feet at the ankles. Drop back on your seat and slide your seat forward to the center of your mat. You know this by now. We're going to tuck our chin, create the C curve of the spine, strong core as we lower one vertebrae at a time, all the way down to our back. From here, hugging, knees into chest in our hex bag position. Grabbing the back of the knee, tucking the chin, and begin to roll. Imagine yourself to be one of the rings of the four horsemen. Coming all the way up, balancing on your sits bones, a lengthened spine. Imagine just melting flesh away from your collarbone, letting your heart shine forward as you come into your breath in and exhale. Beginning to curl down your spine, strong core. Knees come back into chest, into hex bag position. Grab behind the knees. Begin rolling like one of the rings of the four horsemen. Creating some momentum. Getting ready on this roll, coming all the way up, crossing the feet at the ankles. Plant your hands, and you can hop or walk your feet back into first blade. Take a breath in and exhale, making your way into downward facing hellhound. Inhale to look up between your hands as you take this outside leg, reaching it high, and exhale that foot through the hands. We're going to spin out the back leg, drawing that line from the front heel to the arch of the back foot up onto fingertips, strong core. Cartwheeling your arms up, making your way back into Colt revolver to the front. Next breath in comes through, making our way into devil's trap toward the front. Taking a breath in and exhale, bringing palms through to heart center. And exhale, keeping your back straight as you lower, coming down. Your knees and toes are pointing out to the side with that bend to your knees. Try to avoid leaning your chest forward and dropping your seat back as you bring your back up straight. Tucking your tailbone just a little bit. Staying here and acknowledging this position. This is a unique asana called bow-legged dean. It's optional if you'd like to raise your palms heavenward. Hands come back through heart center. We lift off, coming into demon's trap. And then walking our feet together so they're side by side, centered in the mat. Let's inhale, sweeping arms up overhead, Sam's abs. Exhale through Castiel 2. And dropping forward into that Crowley 1. Inhaling, lifting off to Crowley 2. And exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands and walk your knees back into the Impala position on all fours. Squaring up the shoulders and the hips. On the next breath in, lengthen the head forward. And then exhale as you rotate to one side, taking your shoulder and hip toward each other. Inhale back to center and exhale other side. Inhale back to center. And let's take 2 more each side. This is a yoga asana called wagging the tail of the hellhound. Coming back into center. Walk your feet forward. Curl up your spine. Sweep the arms wide. Hands through heart center. Walk your feet wide and wide. Turning the toes out to the side. Inhale, reaching the arms up into our devil's trap position. Palms come to center. And we bend the knees, coming back into bow-legged Dean position. Holding the position here with that straight back, tailbone tucked, strong, tight core. Building that strength in our legs as we prepare to move on to our crescent lunge series of our practice tonight. Staying with your breath. Next breath in, let's come back up through devil's trap. Rotate that back foot in. This front foot is pointing toward the front of the mat as we drop forward, making our way into our Colt revolver position. From this position, I want you to watch carefully as I'm going to take that back foot and I'm going to spin it around. I'm going to inhale, sweeping my arms up overhead into a crescent lunge position. Now I have an option here. I can go ahead and stay in this lifted position, or a way to modify crescent lunge is to drop that back knee onto the mat. And here you have a kneeling version of crescent lunge. So take whichever option feels best for your body right now. I'm going to lift back off into that crescent lunge, little arch in the back, gazing skyward. Take a breath in and exhale as you bow your chest forward. Inhale, reaching high. Exhale to bow forward. Inhale, reaching high, and one more time, bow forward. Now we're going to inhale, reaching high, and exhale, kind of cactusing the arms back, opening up the chest into Dean's leather jacket, gazing heavenward. Next breath in, arms come back up into that crescent lunge position, and we exhale, spinning that back foot out just a little bit, bending the front knee and making our way back into that revolver position. Now from here, we're going to begin straightening the front leg, pressing the hips behind us, then reaching the chest forward and tipping up, making our way into spirit pose. Shoulders slide away again from your ears. You're gazing at that top hand. See if you can open up that top hip just a little more and tuck the bottom hip under just a little bit. Next breath in, sweeping up, bending that front knee, making our way back into that Colt revolver asana. We're going to spin that back foot in just a little and rotate around. Noticing how we have that sigil on the wall in front of us, or maybe you've even decided to make one and set it on the floor. Taking that breath in, we're going to exhale as we begin to reach forward, launching off that back foot, lifting the back foot up. And here's where you can use one of the John Winchester journals, or you can reach forward on the wall and touch your hand to that sigil, making your way into the staff of Moses. Also commonly known in yoga lingo as warrior 3 position. Releasing, letting that back foot come to the mat, rotating the arms up, making your way back into the Colt position, and swinging your body around, making your way into devil's trap. In devil's trap position, point your toes and knees out to the side. Take a breath in, and this time as you exhale, release your hands around behind your back, interlacing your fingers, dropping your hands away from the body, opening up the shoulders, maybe even lifting them away from the tailbone just a little bit, getting a nice stretch in the front of the chest and shoulders. It's optional here if you'd like to take a breath in and exhale as you drop forward into a wide leg forward fold. Optional to release your hands. Also, you can take one of those props, lifting up onto your fingertips or dropping down onto your forearms into that wide-legged forward fold position. Another option here is to bring your hands to the mat. Begin bending one knee and then the other, sweeping your hands side to side, drawing a figure 8 on your mat, and then reversing and drawing a figure 8 the other direction. Coming back to the center, lifting up onto fingertips, really tightening up and strengthening muscles in your core as you take one hand to a hip crease, other hand to the hip crease with strong stomach muscles. Lift off and make your way into devil's trap toward the front. Take a breath in and exhale the other side. Rotating the front foot forward, the back foot comes in just a little, bending the front knee, making your way into Colt Revolver toward the back. Now from this position, we're going to rotate around, lifting off that back foot, bending the front knee, sweeping the arms up into that crescent lunge position. Remember with the option here of lowering down onto that back knee. If that back knee is tender, you can double up your mat or throw a towel underneath it for cushioning. Or if you'd like, you can join me right back here in crescent lunge, taking a breath in and exhale, releasing your arms forward. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, bowing forward. Inhale, little arch in the back. Exhale, release forward. Inhale, crescent lunge, and now exhale, cactusing the arms back, making your way into Dean's leather jacket. Staying with your breath. Next breath in, sweeping the arms up overhead, and exhale, making your way back into that revolver position. Begin straightening the front leg, pressing the hips back, reaching forward. Tipping up, making your way into spirit pose. Gazing at that top hand, sliding shoulders away from your chest. See if you can open up that top hip just a little. Tuck the bottom hip under just a little bit. And then with a strong core, sweep the arms up and make your way back into that Colt Revolver position toward the back. We're going to swing the back foot in a little, rotate, shoulders and hips toward the back, arms up overhead, preparing to launch, reaching forward, launching off that back foot, lifting off into Moses' staff. Remember, we can reach toward that sigil on the wall, or even take a hand down onto the floor, or grab one of those props, one of the yoga blocks, also known as John Winchester's journal. Finishing up your 4th breath cycle here, we'll let that back foot drop to the mat, lifting off, back through the Colt Revolver, making our way into our devil's trap to the front. Now from here, we'll lower our arms and walk our feet a little closer together. If you look down, I want to see your feet a little wider than shoulder width apart. We're going to inhale, sweeping arms up overhead, and exhale, hands down through heart center, as we come into a modified version of a wide leg forward fold. Now from here, we're going to take one hand and just slide it underneath our foot, bringing our toes to our wrist crease on one foot. Go ahead and bend the knees a lot so you can get into this position very carefully. Drop your head forward. And then you can massage the palms of your hands with the balls of your foot and your toes for just a second if you'd like. Then on the next breath in, we're going to straighten arms and legs, dropping the head forward. And exhale now, bending arms and knees, pulling the chest forward. Into our Sasquatch position. Inhale to lift off. Exhale, pulling forward into Sasquatch. 2 more times.
Inhaling, dropping the head, rounding up, lengthening the arms and legs. Exhale, pull forward. And again, inhale to lift. Exhale to pull forward. And very carefully, one hand at a time. Release a hand, release a hand. Heel toe your feet a little closer together. As you curl up your spine, sweeping your arms wide. Hands come together, heart center. Preparing now for our balance posture today, which is called prophet. So let's shift our weight over onto one foot. Find all four corners of that foot. Lift your toes, spread them wide, and set them down one at a time. We're going to put our pelvis into a neutral position and really lengthen through the spine, growing tall. So we take the opposite foot and move it into a kickstand version of our prophet. Hands come together in heart center. Now you can stay in the kickstand version, or if you'd like, you can take that lower foot and bring it to touch the inside of the calf. Testing your balance. It's so helpful to find a non-moving focal point. Another option here is to take the heel, you might need to help it along like I'm showing, and setting it near the peak of the thighs. Just being sure that you keep your foot away from the knee joint in either position. Coming into that prophet position, balancing the best you can. It's okay if you fall out, just come back in. It's optional if you'd like to grow some long arms, palms facing heavenward, maybe even adding a breeze. And then as gracefully as you can, let's just reverse, making our way out of prophet position and shaking that out a little bit. So we move on to the other side, shifting our weight to the opposite foot, finding all four corners, lifting our toes and spreading them wide, setting them down one at a time. Again, it's that neutral pelvis, lengthened spine as we come into kickstand version. Hands come together at heart center. Maybe we're gonna come up and try, seeing what this feels like on this side. Remember, this is a unilateral exercise, so you might be completely different on one side of the body compared to the other. That's really normal. You can take your heel and lift it off, seeing if you'd like to take that foot a little higher. Finding that non-moving focal point, maybe lifting palms up heavenward, maybe adding that breeze. And we'll begin to backtrack, releasing as gracefully as you can, or just falling out and shaking that out at the center. Now from here, let's walk our feet wide. So we're gonna try, if you want, it's optional. We're gonna try one of our inversion postures, or it's one of our most basic handstand positions. It's optional, so you don't have to do it. And remember, you can always go back down onto your mat into that Castiel 3 or child's pose and catch back up to us all when you want to. If you'd like to join me, we're gonna inhale, taking our arms back up into that devil's trap position, palms together through Castiel 2. Now from here, we're gonna begin bending the knees and toes are pointing out to the side as we drop down and anchor our elbows to the inside of the knees in a frog squat. So here's another option. You can stay right here in frog squat, or if you'd like to join me, trying crow, or some people call it teapot. We're gonna take our hands down on the floor, fingertips pointing away from the body, about shoulder width apart. Gaze about 8 inches in front of your fingers, and then begin shifting the weight of your legs and knees onto the back of your arms. Now you're gonna notice right here I'm showing I have both feet on the ground. One option is to lift one foot and then the other foot. We're all tempted to turn our gaze back to our feet, but don't do it. Keep your gaze forward. You might find that you can then shift forward and lift both feet off. Be very careful, staying with your breath, and just playing. If you fall out, that's fine. Go back to trying one foot and then the other. Staying here for 2 more breath cycles. Best effort. And releasing. Coming all the way up and shaking that out. Now, if you happen to have some water or something to drink, it's a great time to just grab a little sip. I'm gonna take a drink of my ice water. And then we're ready to start moving on to the cool down phase of our supernatural yoga. So let's go ahead and make our way down into an Impala position on the mat. From Impala, walk your hands forward about 6 inches, flip your toes, and let your hips rise up into downward facing hellhound. In this position, the leg that's closest to your screen, lift. And exhale as you bring the knee all the way through, almost touching it to your wrist while laying the lower leg across the mat. We're going to take the other leg and wiggle it back. Lift off and look over your shoulder, making sure that that back foot is not swiveled to the side but is straight. Roll your shoulders back, gaze skyward, and then as you exhale, begin making your way down. And this might be a good place to use one of, or even two. I'm going to just reach over and grab this block because I want to show you something. So if you have a block or a pillow, you can take this and tuck it right underneath your hip for support, or you can even bring this around to the front. I want to caution you as you come into this position, if you're noticing any knee pain, I want you to come back out of it and wait just a moment for me to show you a modification. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and lower down, letting your forehead come to the floor, or I'm demonstrating forehead to the block because this is really comfortable for me. And as you settle in here, I think it's common knowledge that we hold a lot of stress and tension in our forehead, in our shoulders, our neck, and our upper back. Maybe you're not aware that we also tend to hold a lot of tension and even built up emotions in our hips. And so when we come into an asana like this, and we're getting some deep stretching and opening of the piriformis muscle in that hip, sometimes you'll notice some deep emotions arise. This asana for supernatural yoga is officially called Dean's single man tier. And I mention that because just imagine Dean in this position, releasing emotions and maybe that one tear. Maybe Dean in this position would release that one tear because it's a tough yoga position for someone who might be tight in the hips. Settling in, relaxing your shoulders. We're preparing now to come out of Dean's single man tier on this side. We're going to lift off onto our hands, become active through that back foot, and lift off. Making our way back into a three-legged hellhound position, just wiggling that stretched leg out, getting some blood flow back into the hip. Even here, if you'd like, you can come up and take that half wild thing, getting a really nice stretch on the front of the hip after stretching the back of the hip for better body balance. Another option here is to take that leg back and lift off, taking your way from half wild thing into full wild thing. Rotating back around, coming up into three-legged hellhound and full hellhound, preparing for the other side. Inhale the opposite leg high. Exhale knee to wrist, laying it across the mat and wiggling that leg back. Looking up over your shoulder, looking at that back foot, and then making your way back down into Dean's single man tier on this side. Now, if you're noticing that this bothers your knees, I want to, most of you can just stay right here in this position. If your knees are bothering you, I'm going to flip over onto my back, lower onto my back, and then place one ankle across the opposite knee, reaching through and pulling up for a really nice variation of Dean's single man tier, moving into this figure 4 stretch. Staying here for 4 to 5 breath cycles on one leg, and then switching out to 4 to 5 breath cycles on the other leg. The rest of you are staying with your breath. Beginning to prepare to come out of this asana, lifting up onto fingers, shifting back into our three-legged hellhound position, wiggling that leg out. Taking the option, if you like, up into half wild thing, opening up the front of that leg and maybe all the way up into full wild thing. Rotating around to the front, back up through three-legged hellhound and full hellhound position. Dropping down onto your knees. Taking one last strengthening exercise that's really nice for the low back. So we're in this kneeling position again. If your knees are tender, just pulling that mat over and setting your knees on a little extra cushioning might be a great idea for you. From here, standing on our knees, we'll inhale, arms up overhead, and exhale as we lift one foot forward. Take a breath in, also lifting up onto the toes of that back foot. As we exhale, rotating to the side and reaching a hand back for that heel, gazing at that top arm, staying with your breath, noticing that subtle contraction that you're getting at the small of the back for strengthening low back muscles. Let's inhale, coming back up through center, and both knees back to standing on knees. Opposite side, lift up. Inhale, both arms up, lowering them to a crux position, rotating back and lifting off. Shoulders relaxed, staying with your breath. And release, strong core, lifting off, back to standing on your knees, and sit back. Now we're gonna drop back onto our seat, slide forward, so your seat is halfway up your mat. You might need one of those John Winchester journals right here as a support prop for your body as we inhale. Sweeping arms up overhead, keeping your back straight and your chest lifted as you begin to lean forward. You can take your hands and place them on the outside edge of your calves or your ankles and gently pull your body forward. Then take another breath in, and as you exhale, begin to drop your nose towards your knees, just releasing and folding your trunk forward. Now this is where you might want to take some support structure and add a little prop. When we're in a forward fold position, if you're someone like me who's really tight in the hips and the low back, this can be a stretch where instead of your body giving and stretching and lengthening, those muscles around your spine and your hips will get tighter to protect those joints. But if you are kind to your body and you add in some support structure like a block right here, then your body will feel more safe and protected, and you can just release the weight of your forehead down into the block. We'll release, lifting off. And then taking a bent knee position, create that C curve of your spine and begin to slowly lower all the way down onto your back. Walk your heels in close to your seat so you can reach down and touch your heel with your middle finger. Palms are up. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, curl up your spine. Up into a lifted bridge position. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, begin to lower. Take a breath in on the floor. Exhale to lift. This time, stay in this position. Lift your heel, toes, and knee of one leg off the mat. Take a breath in and exhale. Knee, toes, and heel drop down. Other side, keeping your hips lifted. It's heel, toes, and knee. Now lower, knee, toes, and heel. Take a breath in and exhale, lowering all the way down onto the mat. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and pull both of our knees into our chest. Never pulling on the kneecap, staying lower than the kneecap. Pulling our body into that hex bag position. Now from here, keeping the knees lifted toward our chest, we're taking our arms out to side in crux position, palms down. And we're going to go ahead and rotate our knees over to one side. If this is uncomfortable, you can place one of those John Winchester journals underneath your legs, propping them up and keeping them lifted a little, or a pillow. We're going to turn our gaze and look out over our opposite fingers. Then release, coming back to center, giving a nice hug to the knees. Releasing the hold, arms back to crux position and rotating to the other side. Looking out over the opposite fingertips. Release and come back to center, pulling the knees into the chest. Now for our last yoga asana today, we're gonna lift our feet up and grab either the ankles or maybe the inside or outside edge of our feet, moving into happy baby. Go ahead and start taking some very playful and silly movements. Try to picture Sam Winchester in the crib as a baby when his family was intact, when life was simpler, easier times. Life was less serious. It's so good for all of us to come into this happy baby position, playful and silly. I like to think of my next door neighbor, the little baby girl who's 4.5 months old, just discovered her toes and does this happy baby movement, and it's pretty amazing that she can actually put her toes in her mouth. That's some impressive flexibility. You might like to take both feet and reach them away from the body and pull knees into your chest, or take that side to side movement or just random movement. And let's release our feet, pulling our knees back into our chest, preparing now for our final rest position. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, lift your nose up to your knees. Take another breath in, and as you exhale, see if you can reach across, grabbing opposite elbows, making your body a small, tight little ball. Take another breath in, and as you exhale, begin releasing your legs long, taking them to the outside edge of your mat. Then letting the weight of your feet just drop heavy over to the side. Palms are up next to hips, tucking one shoulder blade under and then the other. Letting the weight of your body just settle into the mat beneath you. This is commonly called our final Shavasana. We could even think of it today as vampire pose or vampire sleeping in the daylight. Go ahead and just settle into your mat. See if you can soften and relax muscles around your eyebrows and forehead. Notice the heavy weight of your eyeballs in the eye sockets. Relax your jaw, separating your teeth and taking your tongue off the roof of your mouth. Come back to your breath. Notice your inhalation and your exhalation. Experiencing that same breath in and same breath out. Notice how your inhalation has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And your exhalation has a beginning, middle, and end. As you breathe in, warm air moves down your throat, gently lifting your chest and filling your belly. And as you exhale, the belly drops, the chest lowers, and that last bit of warm air moves out of your throat. Thinking beginning, middle, and end. And beginning, middle, and end. As we begin to awaken, add a little movement to your fingers and toes. Rotate your wrists and ankles. Turn your head side to side. Then imagine that you're awakening for the first time. Reach your arms up over your head and stretch from your toes all the way up through your fingertips. And then when you're ready, roll onto one side or the other, drawing your knees up to your chest and gently resting your head on that lower arm. Bringing your body into this very comforting fetal position. And when you're ready, gradually begin to make your way up. Seated, facing forward on your mat, back into our Castile one position. Bring your hands together at heart center to end our supernatural yoga practice with a blessing. May we all be healthy and happy. May we all be safe and protected. May we all love and be loved, and may we all know wisdom and peace. Now I invite you, if you'd like to join me in a really cool classic rock band, Kansas, singing a song that if you're a Supernatural fan, I bet you're very familiar with, Carry On. Carry on my wayward son,
There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. Namaste.